Mtgnerdgirl is proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com. When you use promo code MNG5 at checkout, you'll receive a free exclusive Mtgnerdgirl vampire token, as well as 5% off your entire order. Show your support for her content and get this free bonus by using the code MNG5. Only at CoolStuffInc.com. Cool stuff in stock.
Welcome back, guys. We are here for the first color in our Wilds of Eldrain limited set review. Yanks is on the call again, and we're going to be going over every single card in white today, and we're going to be giving them a rating between 1 and 5 based on how we think they will perform in the average limited deck. So some cards with very high synergy ceilings are going to get a little bit of a markdown. If you guys missed our introduction to Wilds of Eldrain, make sure you check that out. We are going to be going over new and returning mechanics in the set, as well as all the draftable archetypes, and all of those things we will be referencing here in this one, so make sure you start with that video. Welcome back, Yanks.
Good to be here as we kick off the first color.
Yeah, I'm excited. Fairy tales, let's go. Let's go ahead and jump right in with Archon of the Wild Rose. We have a 4-mana 4/4 Archon with flying. I'm already in. This is a great rare. Let's play it. Let's see what else it does. Other creatures you control are that are enchanted by auras you control have base power 4/4 and have flying. So it's going to turn all your little tokens into 4/4 flyers. And white does have a lot of ways with the new mechanic rolls that we saw in the introduction to actually enchant those things for free.
Yeah, this is very clearly leading into the roll tokens. Particularly in green-white, but really in all white decks.
So that said, if you have any sort of support for rolls, this is going to be outstanding bomb. And even if you have 0, this is still going to be a very good creature on its own and definitely can end a game. So rating-wise, what are you thinking?
I think it's probably a 3/5 for me. It's very good, but it could also just die right away and leave no value.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a little bit higher than that just because, it is game winning. If they answer it, then they answer it, but I do think that this is very, very good. So I'm going to bump it up to a 4 for me.
Sure.
Archons Glory, we've got a 1-mana instant with Bargain. Enchant Creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you bargained for the spell, it also gains flying and lifelink until end of turn. I'm okay with 1-mana pump spells, but you want them in pretty heavy moderation. And I also don't think that the flying and lifelink is game ending. So if you don't have like food or really cheap 1/1s to be sacrificing, then I'm probably a lot less interested.
Yeah, 1 mana is the right price, but it's just a medium combat trick. I'm fine with playing one of these.
So I'm going to give it a 2 and say that this is a 23rd playable card. You can keep it in if you have the room, or you can cut it if you are short on cuts.
Yeah, keep an eye out for stuff like this if you're playing the Orzhov deck that wants you to get death triggers for the bargain sacrifice.
Oh yeah, definitely good synergy there. All right, Armory Mice, 2 mana for a 3/1 mouse. That is a very large mouse. And with Celebration, it gets +0/+2, and that is as long as 2 permanents enter the battlefield this turn under your control. So it becomes a 3/3 if you can curve out, which makes it a pretty aggressive attacker.
Yeah, 2 mana 3/1s in white are common enough, and they're always okay. We do have a decent number of tokens in this set, but at least one set of the 1/1 tokens can't block. So that doesn't quite matter too much here, and it shouldn't be hard to make this a 3/3 when you're attacking with it.
Yeah, there is an archetype with rats and things that, you're right, cannot block, so that does not benefit this. We saw that similar. We saw something, or it doesn't hurt this. We saw something similar with mites, in that 3/1s actually had some pretty solid value because mites just couldn't do the job. So yeah, I think this is a 2 in any deck, maybe a 1.5. 3/1s these days are just not cutting it like they used to. But if you can celebrate often enough, I think this is very, very good for that aggressive Boros deck.
Yeah, I've just got stuck in my head picturing rats standing there as mice run past them, which is just kind of funny to me.
Aw, and honestly, why is a mouse a 3/1 but a rat is a 1/1?
Well, there's 3 mice.
Oh, that's
So
fair.
it's Armory
They
Mice,
both
not
bite
mouse.
you. They both bite you. But it's one creature. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's 3 mice in a trench coat.
Yes.
All right. I'll let you take this one.
We have Besotted Knight. So this is a 4-mana, 3/3 vanilla human knight, but it has adventure, which is Betroth the Beast. It's a white sorcery for white that creates a Royal Roll token attached to target creature you control. Royal Roll is enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has ward 1.
So a 3/3 for 4 mana is a little steep, like maybe half a mana steep, I think, for white, I guess. But I really think a 1 mana roll is really strong. I'm here for it. I like this card.
I think maybe going back to original Eldraine or even earlier, just the idea of creating 2 permanents with 1 card has its own advantages.
Yes.
And they always tend to play a little better than you think, just for the sheer number of permanents you're creating. So we know there's an archetype that cares about enchantments and rolls in particular. We know there are ones that care about things going to the graveyard, which replacing rolls will do that. This just feeds into a lot of white synergies.
Yeah, I think this card is actually pretty good. I think the roll is going to be good, even if you don't have the roll synergy deck. I think that the rolls are just going to be pretty powerful. So rating wise, what do you like this as?
I like this as a 2/5, and I might be willing to go higher if we were later in the set review and we could see what the 4 mana slot looked like. It just sometimes that gets clogged up.
I agree with that. I think 2/5. I was leaning up to a 3 based on the performance of rolls. I think if they are as powerful as I think they will be, I do think that this will play like a 3. But I'm not quite willing to say that they're that strong. Like, it's kind of like Mutate, right? It kind of fell flat.
Yeah, and the danger with some of these cards, right, is if you're trying to get max value and cast Betroth the Beast on something and it gets destroyed, then the spell fizzles and goes to the graveyard. You don't get the creature later.
Yeah, also there's an entire archetype built around locking cards down. So if you're stacking cards tall, right, spending a lot of resources enchanting them and stuff, then you're going to be very much punished by those decks. So we'll have to see. But I think we are in agreement. Oh, wow, what a beautiful card. Blind Obedience. This is in the extra sheet. It's a rare 2-mana enchantment. You can extort by paying an Orzhov mana. Artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. So this is really nice that this is getting a reprint again. It did get one not that long ago, but I think it was a couple of bucks for Commander players. So honestly, this art is beautiful.
Yeah, this is the first one of these we're seeing. We should just talk briefly about the Enchanted Tales sheet. Kind of like Mystical Archives in Strixhaven, one of these will appear in every pack.
Brothers War.
The Artifacts and Brothers War, yep, and the Multiverse Legends, most recently in Mom.
Yep.
So they're starting to do this with more regularity, putting these bonus sheets. Even though they are not really in the set, they are part of a limited environment.
They sure are, and they're usually very powerful. The Mystical Archives in Strixhaven, it was really tough to play around those. But that said, this card by itself doesn't do a ton, but I do like Extort. It's a very fun mechanic. But is it making the cut in limited, Yanks? What do you think?
Probably not, unless you have a heavy enough enchantment theme where you might care. I mean, it does. Extort is really obnoxious to play against.
Yeah. And it's any spell, creature, instant, sorcery, like, that can be very good. There's also, possibly some life gain synergies going on if you're like in Selesnya, because right, there's like the food mechanic, so there could be things that like gain 3 life, do a thing. So it's reaching for sure. But I can see a world where we were interested in playing this in an Orzhov deck for sure.
Yeah, or even I could see this as like the little bit of reach you need in a Boros deck to finish someone off.
Yeah.
Because it also slows down, their ability to turn the corner and kill you by forcing everything to come in tapped.
Yes. The tapped ability in a Boros deck is going to actually come in pretty handy.
Yeah.
because you come out ahead, right? And then they're always a turn behind, but now they're 2 turns behind, and that should be enough for Fit to finish the job. I do like that.
Yeah.
At first, when you said reach for Boros, I was thinking the extort, and I was like, I'd rather just have another piece of gas.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, but yeah, definitely the, you do end up sometimes with just drawing 2 drops in Boros with extra mana.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that this is. I like your assessment of aggro decks. For me, this is a 1/5. There'll be some decks that will actively want it, but even then, it won't perform much higher than a 2 or a 2/5.
Yeah, I like that 1/5 to 2/5 range.
All right, we have Break the Spell. Oh, it's the girl kissing the dude. Nice. 1 mana for an instant, destroy target enchantment. If a permanent you can... Bleh. Let's try that again. Destroy target enchantment. If a permanent you controlled or a token was destroyed this way, draw a card. Okay. Because I kept wanting to say controller, because usually a permanent you controlled is not like I don't know. This is a really cheap way at instant speed to remove an enchantment, and with rolls, I think that this is like kind of a borderline combat trick.
Yeah, I'm trying to just parse this. So if a permanent you controlled, so blowing up your own enchantment, not 100% sure how often that's going to come up, but the fact that, a lot of times you see these cards and you're like, yeah, there might be targets, but is it really worth the card? Well, the kind of default mediocre targets are rolls, but in this case, it replaces itself if you hit a roll.
With a card.
Yeah. Break the spell replaces itself.
Yes. I thought you meant the roll did. I was like, what?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so basically it is a free slot to have in, and if you miss, which seems unlikely in this set that enchantments will always whiff, then you just hit your own roll for a card draw if you need it, especially because rolls can't stack. So if you have anything that's creating multiple rolls, then this just becomes a cycle that allowed you to get some extra free padding to put in against your opponent. Most likely this is a sideboard card, but with enchantments being a whole damn theme, I could see it being a 23rd playable.
Yeah, I mean, hitting an opponent's cursed roll token is a major blowout with this, right? You've done it for free and unlocked your creature.
Yeah. If they still control the enchantment they put on it, though.
Yeah, but the token doesn't have to be a permanent you control. It's a permanent you control or any token, basically, the way that reads.
Was destroyed. Wait. If a permanent you controlled or a token was destroyed this way. I don't know if that's true. I read that you had to control both of them.
I would think it would say if a permanent or token you controlled, that would move.
I would think so too, but this is still weird. Maybe they give you token that's on your creature because it's low impact. That's weird.
Or it hits their positive rolls too.
So if you hit their roll, you still get to replace. I like this card even more then.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was a fail-safe if you hit your own rolls. But if you're hitting a roll, which they consider low impact, and it's kind of a free card for them, it lets you replace it. So if you're either hitting something like high, that is a full piece of cardboard, or you're hitting a made-up piece of cardboard and you get to replace itself. Okay, I think this card's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yanks's reasoning seems right to me as well, based on the wording, but because that wording is so weird, in my head it didn't word that way. It worded the other way.
That's why it took me a few seconds at the start of the card. I was trying to parse that out.
So yeah, I think this card's fine. I think this is a 2, probably a sideboard card, but a fine playable in any deck.
Yeah, agreed.
Great. All right, we have a 4 mana 3/3 flyer.
5 mana.
What did I? Little number woozy. 5 mana 3/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, create a royal roll token attached to another target creature you control. So it can't target itself. So if this is your top deck, it feels real bad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Top decking a 3/3 flyer is not the worst, but you're certainly not happy if you're, paying 5 for it.
Yeah. I think this card is okay. I mean, I never know what to think about these creatures anymore because they all seem solid. But like these days, there are no bad creatures. They've just completely stopped making draft chaff. So, I mean, it kind of just feels like everything is a 2.5, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. It's just it's hard to recalibrate.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, this seems fine, but like normally this would have been like, oh, this is like 2 things. Yay. And then it's like a 2.5 or a 3, but now it just feels like a 2.
Yeah, I'm also a little higher on this one just because, it can still be a threat just because a medium-sized flyer is always a threat.
I'm really high on rolls, so my instinct is to give this a much higher thing. I think the royal roll is also very good. So, I mean, I'm going to say 2/5.
Yeah, I agree.
Cheeky House Mouse. Aw, he's so cute. For 1 mana, you can cast him as a sorcery as an adventure. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 till end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. So this could just be a lethal attack. You could just put this on your 5/5, right? And just like dome them if they don't have
anything small. Yeah.
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 And then it just turns into a Savannah Lion.
A mouse turning into a Savannah Lion is pretty funny.
Yeah, all of the mice are bigger than the rats, which is interesting. I think this is a fine uncommon. I would play this card as a one-of.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Boros definitely interested in this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Boros kill for this card.
So rating-wise, what are we thinking?
It's like a 2/5.
Yeah. I don't like either side enough to give it a 2/5, but maybe combined they are. I'm maybe a little low, but I think a 2 or a 2/5 is fine. Moving on to Cooped Up, 2 mana for an aura, enchant creature. Enchant creature can't attack or block. You can pay 3 to exile enchant creature. We've seen this before, right? In the last Theros, I think?
Yes, but I think it costs 3 mana.
I thought it was a lot. I thought it was like 5 mana. But and it was 5 mana to exile. Like, it was way worse.
Oh, yeah. It did cost more to exile, you're right.
But similar idea.
Yeah.
It's really cute that you can so you capture the fairy and then you squash it?
Yeah, I guess.
It gives them a chance to remove it with that cheap 1 mana white spell, right?
Yeah. Just got pacifism has been power creeped out.
Yep. Rating wise, this is usually white's pretty premium removal. I think it's like a 3/5, right? Because they usually still have some pretty good exile spells and things.
Yeah, and then it's vulnerable to the usual bounce, and we already saw a cheap enchantment removal play that'll probably see main deck.
Sacrifice abilities as well.
Yeah.
Alright, so 3/5 it is.
Yep.
We have a Cursed Courtier, 3 mana 3/3 with lifelink. That does not look like a human noble.
It's cursed into a frog.
Yeah, it's true. Cursed Courtier enters the battlefield, create a cursed roll token attached to it. Huh. It curses itself. Huh.
Yeah.
So it's a 1/1 lifelink for 3 that if you can kill the roll, it gets better, or if you have benefits for having rolls. There are some cards that say enchant creatures get X. They turn into a 4/4 flyer.
Yeah. Luckily the way rolls work, as long as you can play another roll, you can just replace the cursed roll with the new one.
Yeah. So what if you have this and Archon out? It would still be a 1/1, right?
It depends. I'm pretty sure I'd have to double check this with the judge, but I'm pretty sure it would depend on the order in which it happened. If the Archon was already out when this came into play, then it would be a 1/1. If the Archon came into play later, it would override the cursed roll.
Interesting.
I believe is how that would work with timestamps on that.
So this seems like a synergy card that on its own is not anything I'm excited about, but if you can replace its role, sorry, I need to go to bed. Or if you can remove the role by killing it, blowing it up, whatever, then that seems pretty good. You can sacrifice the role as well, right? With a bargain.
With bargain. It's also 2 permanents in itself for celebration.
Oh, okay. This has some high synergy. If you don't have a use for this, then no. But if you do, I think this is pretty neat. This is a very well-designed, interesting card for this set.
Yeah, I really like this card. I don't think it's going to be hard to get rid of the cursed roll if you don't want it. And if it also gets you some benefits like the second permanent for a celebration.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. I'm going to say it's a 2/5.
I think I like this a little more. I think I like this as a 3.
Wow, that's very high. All right, yeah. Dawn of Hope, 2 mana for an enchantment. Whenever you gain life, pay 2 if you do draw a card. And you can pay 4, create a white soldier token with lifelink. Yes, I'm glad that this is getting a reprint. Actually, I already got 2. It was like a $10 card, and then it was like 6. Now it's probably going to go down to like 4 or something. But this is a solid late game mana sink. It's great in Commander. I'm going to play this card for sure.
If I'm remembering right, this card was absurd in its original limited format.
Yes, I do believe it was.
In whichever of the Ravnica sets, Guilds of Ravnica, I think. Yeah, this card's great. Hit triggers enchantment synergies. If you have any other random life gain, it's great, and it feeds itself and gives you a mana sink later on.
Yeah, which enables like a ton of card draw, right?
Yeah.
So very, very interested in playing this card. I think it's a slow incremental card, but can win. So I would say this is a 4.
Yeah, I've got this as a 4.
Oh my god, we're only at the D cards. I feel like we have gone very far. All right, I'll let you take this one.
Discerning Financier, 2 and a white for a 2/3 human noble. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a treasure token. And then 2 and a white, choose another player. That player gains control of target treasure you control. You draw a card. So, first off, I love kind of the art reference back to land tax.
This says upkeep, not end step. So if you lose the die roll, you're going to get so many treasures.
Yeah.
This should say end step. This is busted.
I mean, I think I presume this was designed purely as a throwback to land tax, which had, picture of a guy with money bags, a big fat guy, like financier.
It looks like the guy from Pocahontas, the movie.
Yeah. That obviously lets you get lands out of your deck. This lets you make tokens, and that ability at the bottom, if you don't need the mana here, or your opponent is flooded, here, take a treasure, I'll take a card for it.
And late game, you just stop playing your lands or whatever, and you just get a bunch of treasures, and you turn them into card draws, and your opponent certainly doesn't need them that late in the game. This card is awesome, and if, like I said, you lose the die roll, this is a fantastic 3-drop. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it either starts giving you treasure token or forces your opponent to skip a land drop.
Yeah, I'm into this card. I think this is awesome. For an uncommon, this is great. I'm going to call this like a... It's not like explosive impactful, but it seems super good.
Yeah, I mean, if this format is prone to stalling, then this will be an absurdly busted card.
Black-White Sacrifice wants these treasures, like Bargain wants these treasures. I'm going to give this a 3/5. This seems great.
It's a permanent for celebration.
Yes.
Yeah, I like 3/5.
All right, Dutiful Griffin, 5 mana for a 4/4 flyer. Sacrifice 2 enchantments, return Dutiful Griffin from your graveyard to your hand. So that just allows you to just make, if you have anything that can make the rolls, when this creature attacks, create a roll, that happens. When this ETBs create, make a roll, and then you've got, a finite number of creatures, so then you just get to sacrifice them and then still continue to create rolls onto those same creatures. So that's very, very cool. I like this as some late game card advantage.
Yeah, and this works great with something like Curse Courtier that we saw that comes with the cursed roll enchant.
Yeah.
It's a enchantment not only feeds it, you actually actively want to get rid of it.
Yeah. Also, a 5-mana 4/4 flyer is not too shabby to begin with. Like, normally they're 3/4s, they scry or something, but this has the ability to just like kind of continue to come back and be annoying. So I think this card is really good. I'm gonna say this is a 2/5. You want some 5-drops in moderation, and if you have a lot of role synergies, I would bump this to a 3.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
All right. Eerie Interference, 3 mana for an instant, prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and creatures you control this turn by creatures. So it's kind of like a one-sided board wipe if you have like a scrappy creature deck that is going toe-to-toe with another deck. That's neat. You could just blow them out when they're trying to make trades, right?
You can blow them out that way. You can, have a racing game where you just win the race because you fog them for a turn when they try to attack back. Like, this has a few big time blowout potential scenarios.
Yeah, they just alpha you thinking that they have more than lethal, and then you just blow this and then crack them for lethal back on the way back. I like that. And also this will be often just a 1-for-1, right? Like you could just be in a trading situation, you decide to pop this, keep your most valuable creature. But I don't think it'll be difficult for this to be a 2-for-1.
No, I agree. Anytime you just got things that are setting up for 2 trades, it doesn't have to be on your turn. You can do it blocking.
Yeah. And it's only 3 mana. It's not that expensive. And if I remember correctly, the last Eldraine was pretty creature scrappy. So I think there's going to be some combat in this format.
Yeah, I think so.
Rating wise, what are you thinking?
I think it's like a 2/5.
Okay, I can get on board with the 2/5.
Yeah, I think it's got some high upside, but it does need the right scenarios on the board.
Expelle The Interlopers, 5 mana for a sorcery, choose a number between 0 and 10, destroy all creatures with power greater than or equal to the chosen number. Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so at its face, it's mostly a board wrath, but if you're playing a deck that goes
tiny,
that's mostly short, it goes small, small and wide, you can blow up a bunch of big things and keep your creatures.
Yeah, it allows you to just set the bar wherever you want to make it beneficial for you. So this is much better than a 5 mana board wipe.
Yeah, because at worst you just pick 0 and blow everything up.
Yep. So rating wise, I think these are always good to have, and I think it has some major up potential given that it can be a one-sided board clear. I'm thinking like a 4.
Yeah, I like it as a 4.
All right, Frostbridge Guard, 2 mana for a 2/2, pay 3, tap target creature. So this is the Azorius sort of mechanic where you want to be locking down people's stuff.
Yeah, and that guy looks like he works for the Snow Queen.
Yeah, and this is just built onto like a standard bear, 2/2 for 2. I'm happy to run this card.
Yeah, 3 mana is a lot for that effect, but you said it's all upside.
Yeah, it's just built onto a creature that kind of wants to be played out early and has something to do later when once the game gets a little stallier, then you're good to go. Rating wise, I think it's probably a solid 2.
Yeah, I've got it as a 2.
I doubt I will cut many of these just because this feels better than like the average 2-drop.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But not exactly high impact. Gallant Pie Wielder, we've got a 2/3 for 3 with first strike and celebrate. Has double strike as long as 2 or more permanents has entered the battlefield. It feels like filler.
So is that like if he's not celebrating, he throws 1 pie at you, but if he is, he throws 2?
Oh, I actually misread this. So it has first strike on its own and it gets double strike. For some reason, I thought the celebration was first strike. Okay, it's a little better than I thought.
And he's throwing pies. Like, that's great.
Yeah, I agree. Rating wise, what are you thinking?
I think it's like a 2/5. I think celebration's gonna be really easy to trigger.
I think so too. I feel like if this was a 3/2, this would be busted.
Yeah.
2/3 is a little clunky, but still solid. I like it at a 2/5 as well. Glass Casket, this is a just straight up reprint, right? Different art.
Yep.
2 mana artifact that says when Glass Casket enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls with mana value 3 or less. You exile them until this leaves the battlefield. And we're seeing a lot of things to remove enchantments, but not a lot of things to remove artifacts so far. So, I mean, I think these are fine. They're a little low impact for me typically, but probably a 23rd playable card and certainly something you want a bunch of in the sideboard.
Yeah, and this is very clearly supposed to be like Snow White because it's Neva in the art. It's kind of asleep.
Yeah. And Glass Casket was an Eldraine thing before.
Yeah.
Very storybooky, so yeah, I think this card's fine. It's like a 2.
Yeah, I'm a little higher on it because we've seen some decent amount of small creatures that are like trying to get pumped up with rolls. So I think you'll be able to get something decent with this. I've got it as like a 2/5.
Okay. Grasp of Fate, 3 mana for an enchantment, enters the battlefield. For each opponent, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls until Grasp leaves the battlefield. So another reason to start running those 1 white mana enchantments. Seems like a pretty good sort of O-ring.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Other than it's O-ring was non-land permanent too. Yeah, it's just harder to cast Oblivion Ring.
Yeah. This is White's premium removal. It's going to be a 4, but it could play worse than it does in other sets just because of how much like main deck enchantment removal that will be acceptable in this format.
Yeah, I think people are going to be running it, running main deck enchantment removal, but there's still going to be color pairs that really struggle to deal with enchantments like Rakdos or anything kind of Grixis-y.
Yeah. Greater Ormancy, 2 mana for an enchantment. Other permanents you control have Shroud. Shroud is annoying.
Other enchantments you have Shroud.
Also less annoying. Yes, does not seem like a thing we're interested in limited.
No, I mean this is part of I forget the exact way it works, but part of it's a combo piece and constructed, but
yeah. I feel like if you're running exactly Selesnya and your opponent has a billion cards that allow them to blow up your enchantments, your rolls, and then like if they have like 5 of the card that like blows up a roll and draws them a card, then we side this in. We have no other way to win.
Yeah, even though the fact that you can get a lot of your creatures to have Shroud with the second one if you're playing a lot of rolls, that's just not worth the card.
Yeah, giving you the creatures will also have Shroud, right? Like I feel like there's a world where we're playing this, but I'm not happy with that world in any sort of average deck.
To answer the question, chat, no, that's the difference between Shroud and Hexproof. You cannot target your own things with Shroud. You can with Hexproof.
Yep.
Which is why they got rid of Shroud for the most part. This is just an older card that's being reprinted.
Yeah. Sideboard, I'm going to give it a 1.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We've got Griffin Eerie. Yes, love this card. You're going to see it in an upcoming Decked Out episode. 2 mana for an enchantment at the beginning of your end step. If you gained 3 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 white griffin with flying. You know what gains 3 life? Food tokens. That's right. Even though it's more in the Golgari world, I'm still going to be making food tokens and making a bunch of griffins with this. So yes, please.
Wow, this was from M21, and I do not remember this card even existing.
This is great. I put this in my upgraded Lord of the Rings food deck.
Oh, no, yeah, that makes sense.
Along with Resplendent Angel.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, food, any sort of consistent life gain, this is great. It's cheap. Yeah, this card's very good.
It's fantastic with food. So I'm super high on it. I'm going to give this card... I mean, it's a split card, right? It's going to be a 1 or it's going to be like a 3 if you've got the foods. And it doesn't exactly fit in the food archetype of the set. So, we haven't seen food synergy yet in this set, so, in this color. So like, take that with a grain of salt. It's probably not going to be super great for what you want to be doing, but I'm sure there's a Selesnya deck that will play it.
Yeah, I'm just scanning, and yeah, there is not a single mono white card that makes food.
Stop pooping on my parade, okay?
there could be multicolored ones, and you're right, with Selesnya and probably some Orzhov as well. We'll make some food.
Meanie. Here's what we do. We blind obedience, play 3 spells, extort them. Okay? It's happening.
I'm with you.
Just let it happen. All right. Hopeful Vigil, 2 mana for an enchantment.
Did we ever give that a rating?
I gave it a 1/3. A 1/3.
Oh, 1/3? Okay, yeah, I like that.
And the 3 is like, crapshoot. I'm probably not going to make it happen, but like it could in my brain. If it works, it will be a 3. It might not work though. I don't know. Hopeful Vigil, 2 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 knight with vigilance. So you're already getting your money's worth. When it is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, scry 2, and you can pay 3 to sacrifice it. So it just adds a scry to your knight and an ETB for an enchantment trigger, graveyard enchant. Synergy, probably very, very good for Orzhov, wanting things to go out of the graveyard and scry and do all the things.
Yeah, it's another card that creates 2 permanents for celebration.
Yeah. For 2 mana, trigger celebration seems great.
And 2 different things you can sacrifice to bargain. Not that you necessarily want to sacrifice a 2/2 token, but...
Oh, this is just straight up free. You don't even have to pay the 3 mana to sacrifice it. You just pay the 2, make the knight, and then you sacrifice it to bargain to do a sweet ability, and then you... Oh, this is like premium bargain fodder. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's low impact, but it's it's nice bonuses on top of just the 2/2 vigilance for 2.
Yeah. I think this is like a 2/5. This is solid 2.
Yeah, that's where I've got it.
I feel like it's low impact, but it's high impact for a 2-drop.
Sure, that's fair.
Intangible Virtue, 2 mana for an enchantment. There's a lot of these. Creature tokens you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. Well, the average deck's probably not going to have enough creature tokens to make this work.
No, I think you're going to have to be looking at like black-white with a bunch of rats.
Rats, and also like the other white enchantment that got reprint as well.
Yep.
So, I mean, the average deck, this is going to be a 1, but in other decks, it'll be closer to a 3. With high synergy.
Yeah, I mean, you know how powerful this card can be with synergy is it was actually banned in Block Constructed.
Innistrad really?
Block. Yeah, because it was this and Lingering Souls, and there was another one that made a bunch of flying spirits. So you just it ended up getting banned in Innistrad Block Constructed.
Interesting. Well, draft is not quite constructed.
No.
So rating-wise, would you agree with a 1/3?
Yes, I agree with that.
All right. Karmic Justice, 3 mana for an enchantment. Whenever you cast, whenever a spell or ability an opponent controls destroys a non-creature permanent you control, you may destroy target permanent that opponent controls. Destroys a non-creature permanent. So like your enchantments and your auras?
Yeah, and your artifacts and...
So certainly not good in the original 23.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're heavy enchantments and they play like, and they're blowing stuff up game 1, they're playing a bunch of disenchants, then sure.
I feel like even things that like O-rings and stuff aren't going to hit it.
Nope.
And like the pacifism effect exiles, so that's not going to work. Like, I don't know. I don't even think this is going to be... How many O-ring or how many disenchants would they have to play for you to want to put this in?
Oh yeah, I doubt I'm ever playing this card.
Yeah, I don't think there's a number high enough. Like if they show me 3, then I'm still thinking like, okay, well, maybe they saw all of them. And like I would need to hit all 3. I would need to have this out first. And then they just use it on this. Like, and I don't know, that doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree.
I think this is like a 0.
Yeah, unless we see something that's really heavy artifact in this deck, and there's a bunch of like shatters, which there clearly aren't going to be. Yeah, this is a 0.
No. I will let you do this one.
Next up, we've got Kellen's Light Blades. It's a 1 and a white instant with Bargain. Kellen's Light Blades deals 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. If the spell is bargained, destroy that creature instead. So we see this sort of removal spell all the time, from white, either destroying or dealing X damage to an attacking or blocking creature. With or without bargain, it's pretty good, but obviously if you have something you can just pitch, you can get something big with this.
Like the Curse on the Frog, or like the stupid thing that comes with the 2/2 Knight. This is great. Like, I'm loving this incremental bargain. Now that I know that there are bad things you can make to bargain, I'm much happier with the mechanic. Because I was thinking, like, none of these things are worth, like, sacking a 2/2 Knight or sacking even a roll, like a normal roll. But there's been some things where I'm pretty stoked about this. I think this is going to be one of White's premium removal spells. I consider this a 4.
Yeah, I think this is a 4. I think this is going to be very good.
Knight of Doves, 3 mana for a 1/3. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, make a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. This is sweet. So every single time any of your creatures that have auras die, you get to do this.
Yeah, and if you just replace a roll with another roll.
Yes.
You sacrifice your pacifism or your hopeful vigil.
Yes.
Bargain away any enchantments. Yeah.
This is awesome.
And it's not like some of these cards are, it's not limited to, this can only happen once per turn.
Yeah. I want to draft 6 of these. And you might just want to like throw a dude under a bus to make the birds. Like, I don't know. This seems sweet. Very synergy specific. The average deck is going to not play this at all. But the deck that wants this is going to be very good. So to me, this is like a 1/ probably a 3/5 even.
Yeah, I think I'm a little higher on the floor than you. It's not good. Like maybe it's a 1/5, but I think most decks are going to have at least a few enchantments, so this isn't going to be that bad.
Yeah, I feel like...
But, I mean, we're just debating different levels of unplayability, so...
Yeah. That's true. Like, I can never see myself playing this, like, in a Boros or... I don't know. Maybe you're right. As of right now, I'm expecting enchantments to only really be viable in the like enchantment colors, like maybe 2 or 3 colors, but we'll see. Maybe if there is just like random, because there's a shit ton here in white, but if there are like loose ones in every color, then yes, I think I'll get on board with you.
Yeah, I think the X factor is blue, because it's going to be valuable in white green, and white black wants that stuff to go to the graveyard, so it'll probably be valuable.
Yeah.
Boros probably not. Is it valuable in white blue in Azorius?
Knightly Valor. This is a reprint. A 5 mana. When it enters the battlefield, make a 2/2 white with Vigilance, and also Enchant Creature gets +2/+2 and has Vigilance. This was actually kind of game ending if your opponents couldn't deal with them. But it was also kind of risky, right? Like, enchantments that go this tall are always risky for removal, but because it creates a knight, it mitigates a lot of that risk. Excuse me, can't stop yawning. So I think this card was really nice to have, but you don't want too many 5-drops. So I think that I don't love rating this card until I know how fast the format is.
Yeah, I think it was very good in previous sets. I want to say like M21 was the last time we saw it. Or M20, right. One of those. But there's some benefits in this set that weren't in those, right? You've got all the enchantment synergies. You've got Celebration with 2 permanents for 1 here. You've got probably a lot of creatures that are going to have auras and stuff on it, so it doesn't necessarily stand out as a target like it might in other sets. So yeah, I think it is risky. 5-mana auras are always risky, but I think this card's going to play pretty well. I've got it like a 3.
Yeah, the Knights mitigate most of the risk, so I'm honestly pretty fine with that. Anytime it makes another permanent, I think it's just fine to play. So you said you have it at a 3?
Yeah.
I'm a little lower. I'm going to say it's a 2/5. It's still 5 mana. They kill your creature in response, you feel real bad.
Oh, yeah, that feels horrible.
Yeah, like, I don't know. The drawbacks on it make me a little hesitant still. And, we've had some really fast formats lately. Let's go ahead and head on to Land Tax, a 1-mana mythic. This is from the fancy cycles, some mana, some money in the pack, I believe. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it onto the battlefield, then put it into your hand, then shuffle. Yeah, reveal them. Whatever. It's not relevant and limited, really, right? Like we're not in the business of this.
I mean, we were pretty happy with I know it was a body, but the guy that made a treasure. This gets you three cards out of your deck right away that you don't have to draw later.
Yeah, but the treasure is ramping you, and it's a body. I feel like
I don't think this card,
and it draws you cards.
I don't think this card's great, but I don't know if it's unplayable. Feels like a card I'd be pretty happy bringing in if I'm on the draw game too.
I'm also happy to bring this in if I'm splashing. Usually any card that lets you search for a land when you're splashing. I feel like that is where I am doing this, where I'm white X, splash, splash Y, then sure. And then you just wait for your opponent to play the extra land, and then you go fish out what you need. I think this is fine in that scenario. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to get a ton of play for me.
A funny story about land tax.
Okay.
And they kind of kept it in this art here, but the original art, we said earlier, was just like a guy he was like a tax collector with bags of money, and it was in alpha, right, really early in very beginning of Magic, when people didn't understand the rules very well, and so there were numerous stories of people playing lightning bolt, like I bolt that, like you can't, it's an enchantment, it's like it's a guy, why can't I lightning bolt it? It's the whole story about why they learned, one of the reasons they learned about how to make art that more accurately represents what the card does.
Interesting.
It's one of the reasons why they like to generally, if the card has flying, it flies in the art. Because they don't want it to be misleading.
Interesting. Like Felidar Sovereign.
Yes.
So this looks like Jack and the Beanstalk?
Yeah, this is the giant, which is kind of weird because that's blue-green and this is white.
It's fine. I'm going to give this a big 1.5.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. It's only going to be wanted in specific spots, if at all.
Yeah, if you're like Simic really big idiots, or if you're like 3-color thing, I'm okay with it. Leyline of Sanctity. Boo!
I love this card. I love this card.
Shut your face. I play Burn in Modern and I'm a little salty. All right, Leyline of Sanctity, 4 mana for an enchantment. If Leyline, blah, 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 fuck off.
Leyline of Mono Red loses.
If it's in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield, and you have hexproof. Meh. Someone was like, "Oh, you can beat it. You just play Swift Spear and bolt yourself." And I was like, "Shut up! Like, I'm not doing that."
So the way you beat it is you play Wear Tear.
I should have known. Once my opponent's mulled to 3, I was like, "All right, I'm dead." They're gonna mold to 1 until they find London. This card should not exist with the London Mulligan rule. Okay,
it's the same thing with Leyline of the Void and Reanimator or Dredge.
Yeah, I don't want those. I don't want any of them. They're all stupid. Breaks the rules. All right, this is not a.
No, it's a 0.
This is a 0.
Yeah.
And it's rage-inducing. Moment of Valor, 3 mana for an instant. Choose 1, untap target creature. It gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible till end of turn. That seems dope. and destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. It's instant speed 3 mana. This is awesome. This is pretty good for a common.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were pretty happy with 4 mana, just destroy target creature with power 4 or greater at instant and smite the monsters.
Sorcery speed. Like we have those. It's like, this is good. Yeah, I'm on board with this. And giving untap blocker that gains indestructible is really cool as well. So you can like trick kill small things, and then you can just eat things that are big anyway.
Yeah, no, these cards are very good.
Yeah, I think this is pretty close to premium removal. Like it's just shy, but because it has both sides of the coin, I think this is very good.
Yeah. I got it like a 3-5, just under that. You know.
Yeah.
Oblivion.
I'm like Oblivion Ring. What?
I was just saying just under that like Oblivion Ring level.
Oh, the O ring?
In terms of premium removal. I'm just saying like that's generally where we put at a 4.
I was a little low on the Oblivion Ring in this set just because of the enchantment removal, but like what would you give this card? 3 mana, instant speed, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater.
Probably a 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give it a 3-5. It's close though. It's close to me just thinking this is premium removal, but it's not quite there. Moonshaker Cavalry, a bajillion mana for a Spirit Knight 6/6 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain flying and +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures you control. So it's at least 2.
It's White Craterhoof.
It is indeed White Craterhoof. It's like the, it looks like the, oh, you haven't seen much of it, right? The, Witcher? What are those guys called?
Yeah, I have not seen much of that.
The Knights in Witcher? I forget what they're called.
Oh.
What fairy tale is this?
It's a good question. Just a bunch of spirit armies? Yeah, I don't know.
Genghis is right. The Wild Hunt was what I was referring to. But that doesn't seem very fairy tale-y to me, so I have no idea. Alan suggests the Knights Who Say Knee. The cow jumped over the moon. You guys are great. I love you. I love all of you so much. Yeah, this is just a huge bomb. Like, by the time you get to that mana, like, you're fine to have triple white. I'm okay with an 8-drop. Like, it's awkward, it's expensive, but it will end some games.
Yeah, and if you resolve this, you probably win. Just do you get to what turn is it, like turn 12?
Yeah.
That's it just could be tough. Also, I guess to note the one way it is worse than Craterhoof is it isn't able to attack on that turn.
Yeah. For limited, I don't think it matters. Like, big idiot win game.
Yeah, I mean, if it's, the good thing with Craterhoof, right, is at least it was a attack you for 6 if it was by itself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And this has flying. Like, I feel like at that point you're just sort of arguing semantics. Like, this is removal or not, and it's going to kill you.
No, I agree. If you resolve the spell, and you're not miles and miles behind, you probably win.
Yeah. So, because it is so expensive, I'm gonna lean a little bit lower, just because there's like a percentage of games that are just gonna end before you get here. But this has to be at least a 4, right?
I don't know, because it's either a 1 or a 5 in a game, right? It either wins the game or just rots in your hand and you had a dead draw.
I mean,
there's no kind of in between.
I don't know. I feel like there are some sets where like there's nothing on board. You're both kind of on top deck mode, and then you just land a 6/6 with flying, right? Like those games happen. Where
I agree. I just mean that there's no scenario where you play this card and it's okay, right? Unless you're like you're at 1 and about to die, but you're either playing it to win, in which case it's just a 5, or you're not casting it. Because you don't get to 8. Because you don't get to 8.
Getting the ability, right? If you're paying that much for a 6/6 flyer in like a top decking even board state, it's not going to play like a 5, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's close. It's in top decking empty board state. It probably wins the game.
It probably does, but that doesn't mean that we give it a 5, right? The 5s are usually reserved to the things that your opponents can't stop. So you play this, and then they can untap, kill it, or whatever, and you've not affected the board. So I agree that like playing any creature on an empty board state, playing a Dreadmaw Colossus on an empty board state on top deck mode is likely going to win the game, but like it's not a 5.
Yeah, I think to me the difference is there's a lot of time you play Dreadmaw and it is normal. Like it's an average card because it's 6, not 8 mana.
Exactly.
I just think
which is why we're not giving this a 5. Like
I'm not saying we should. I'm not saying we should give it a 5. I'm just not sure where to put it because it's, to me, it's just so far on the two extremes.
I just average them out. Like, you know, there's a percentage of the times where you're just going to Crater Hoof and kill them. There's a percentage of the times where you're too far behind it doesn't matter. A percentage of the time you can't get this out, the game ends beforehand because it's too expensive. And then there's a percentage of the time where you get to whoever top decks a 2/2 first is just going to get there over 3 agonizing turns of you bricking 2 lands, which happens way too much. Hate those games. They're extremely sad. And you just kind of smash all of those together, and I feel like this is like a 4.
Yes, I think if I'm averaging it out, it's like a 3 because it's a 1 or a 5 to me.
It seems very expensive to me. So I guess we'll just be a point off then.
Yeah, although I guess if you're saying it's very expensive, I would think you would be lower on it than me.
I mean, I don't think I ever give it a 1. So I'm saying because it is how expensive it is, I'm not giving it a higher score.
Fair.
I like Flying Crater Hoofs. Phyrexian Unlife. And I mean, we've been 1 point away on 1 card so far, so that usually only happens 1 or 2 cards in a set. 3 mana for an enchantment. You don't lose the game for having 0 life. As long as you have 0 or less life, all damage is dealt to you as though its source had infect. Ew, weird. No thank you. 0?
No, a constructed combo card.
Plunge into Winter. 2 mana, tap up to 1 target creature, scry 1, then draw. Okay, the reason it says tap up to 1 is so that way you can choose not to. You could just scry and draw, cycle it away.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it fits into what White Blue is trying to do. Fairly cheap cantrip.
I'm wondering if there's going to be any sort of like built-in mechanic to like to have benefit for your opponent's creatures being tapped because they want to tap things so much, and
there are at least the signpost on common we talked about in the we showed in the intro has I'm just trying to call it up quickly. It's like whenever you tap 1 or more untapped creatures your opponents control, draw a card.
Sweet, that's going to be awesome. Yeah. I really think that this will be a cool deck to play. I'm pretty excited about it. Rating wise, I think this is okay. These things are usually like 2s. Tap a creature, scry is fine. Because this replaces it, I'm probably a little bit higher, but not a ton. But I think it's like a 2.
Yeah, I think it's a 2.
The Princess Takes Flight. Exile. For 3 mana, you get a saga that says exile up to 1 target creature. What?
Yes, please.
Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains flying till end of turn. Return the exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control.
So this is Rapunzel, right? Based on the art?
Yes.
Like, you're exiled, you escape, so you're not exiled anymore.
I don't understand why you can return the exiled card. I don't like it. I mean, it's still good, but like...
Yeah, it's just temporary. I mean, you could even use it on your own creature if you want to...
unlock it.
Or get a new ETB effect. Note, you can also play this, get Chapter 2, and then sacrifice it to bargain, and the thing stays exiled.
Ooh. I like that. Or just to blow up your own thing.
Yeah. Because it's not like the first one is an exile. It remains exiled until this leaves the play. It has to hit Chapter 3 for it to come back.
Oh, that's so cute. I'm going to piss so many people off with that. I can't wait. They're going to be so mad. I'm going to be mad when they do it.
Yeah, like, this is not that this is relevant for limited, but like this in Yorion.
Okay, this is cute. Rating wise, assuming you're not doing anything super cute with it, I think it's certainly playable, but it's like a 2/5. It's very good for Boros, right? Like, you exile their blocker, you pump your creature, and then hopefully they're dead by then.
Yeah, and it's probably pretty good for Azorius if Azorius is as tempo-y as it's supposed to be. And white-black is going to have a lot of bargain stuff, so I agree. I think you probably want to be doing some bargain shenanigans with this for it to be great, but I think I like it as a 3.
Or you just destroy your own enchantment that you control and draw a card.
Yes.
Which still seems like great value.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I still think that's like a 3.
Yeah.
Protective Parents, 3 mana for a 3/2. Whenever Protective Parents dies, create a young hero role attached to up to 1 target creature you control. That seems fine. It's like a curve filler that eventually gives you a role. It's very synergy. I like that. They protect their kid, and then they give their kid the young hero. It's very flavorful and cute. I think this is like a fine card. Yeah.
Nothing exciting. It is flavorful, like you said, but yeah, I think it's playable. It gives you a second permanent, admittedly not the same turn for celebration, but it can help trigger it later.
Yeah. It's going to trade well. It's going to give, boost your other creatures. I think this is okay. This is... I don't know. It's so hard without seeing the 3-drop slot as a whole, but this feels like a lot of things are going to want these enchantments. So I'm going to err a little on the high side and give it like a 2/5.
It's funny. I was thinking, I agree on that, but I was thinking it just seems underwhelming compared to a lot of what we've seen, so I was going to give it a 2.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the 2s and 3s be super impactful. I agree it seems a little underwhelming.
That's true.
But we haven't seen a lot of 3-drop creatures, period. So
yeah,
a 3-drop curve filler that is also going to trigger all of your synergies, I think that's what I'm high on.
That's fair.
Regal Bunicorn.
It's a rabbit unicorn.
2 mana for an XX. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of non-land permanents you control. So that's going to be all of your enchantments, artifacts, creatures, non-land permanents. Yep. Also your auras. Yeah, this seems good.
Yeah, and this is going to be rather large.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a 1/1 on its own.
Yeah.
If you just curve out with this and then the next turn it attacks like a 2/2. Or better if you have something that makes, when it ETBs and makes a thing, right?
We've seen a number of things that make 2 permanents or 2 non-land permanents.
Like on turn 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, this card seems great. This is a very big beater. This feels like what, like a 3/5? 3?
Yeah, I think I have it as a 3/5.
Seems really scary.
I might be giving it a boost for its flavor text, which is pretty great.
It's entirely peaceful as long as you don't try to pet it, pen it, take its food, take its hide, sit on its grass, or dress it up in colorful garb for human holidays.
It's entirely peaceful as long as you don't do anything.
I like it. Cute. All right, we are in agreement. Moving on to Rest in Peace.
Rip.
When Rest in Peace enters the battlefield, exile all graveyards. If a card or token would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Yeah, I mean, these are sideboard cards, so I mean, probably just giving this like a 1, and the only thing we probably bring it in against is like Golgari / like the deck that's running the 4/4/4s that come back when you sacrifice the auras, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some world where like if you're running against an Orzhov deck with a ton of death triggers, like this stops all those.
Yeah, that's true. I can't imagine this is going to see a ton of play.
No. It's a 1.
Return Triumphant, 2 mana for a sorcery. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Create a young hero role attached to it. Okay, I mean...
So you get a small thing for 2 mana. You get a second permanent entering the battlefield.
So you can bring back the Bunnicorn.
Yes.
Sweet. And then the young Bunnicorn will be a young hero.
Yeah, a young hero Bunnicorn. Although the young hero token is probably not doing much on the Bunnicorn.
I like it. I think this is at sorcery speed. I'm a little less excited, but if you've got some rares that are in the 2 and 3 drop, then it's probably worth it. But I think your average 2 and 3 drop does not make this card worth it, unless you have a ton of reasons to want extra rolls, because it comes with a roll, right? So this is kind of a 2-for-1 in that way, but you have to have either some low impact or some synergy with rolls.
Yeah, we're seeing some cheap creatures that come with multiple permanents, or some cards that might be more expensive normally, but now it's they end up being smaller but come with multiple permanents, so you can get back something like the guy that makes birds or the Cursed Courtier. So there are some decent cheap creatures to get back, but yeah, you do want to take a look at your 2 and 3 drop slot before putting this in your deck.
Rating wise, I think it's probably like a 2, and it will play up if you have some good synergy.
Agreed.
All right, we got Rhyme for Reindeer. 4 mana for a 3/4 elk. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature an opponent controls. So Sven is going to be locking your opponent's stuff down and letting you be very aggressive. Boros, if you have some enchantments on there, this would be really cool to help get in damage as well.
I mean, I thought we learned from Eldraine that elks on Eldraine are 3/3s, at least according to Oko. Not 3/4s.
Yeah, well, this one had a few extra tacos. Don't hate. We like big booties in this house.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you said it's good in Boros. Probably at best looks likely in blue-white.
Yeah.
Pretty solid card.
Hammy says he likes big butts, huh, Ham? He came running in the room when he heard that. I don't know. Rating wise, this is still, every creature now feels like a 2 to me. I don't know. There's just like so much less distinction amongst them. Like cards are no longer, like I used to have commons that I was like, oh, this seems really good. Like above filler, I'm very happy. 3, 3, 5. And then there was like a lot of cards where I'm like, oh, this is like a 1. But now everything is just a 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest ground creature in white in terms of size, so that's something. The only thing bigger than it are the couple big flyers we've seen.
There seems to be so many enchantments that I think that this is going to be like a 3. I just don't know that every deck cares about its ability.
No, but what I like about this set is that you're getting a lot of enchantments without having to go out of your way to play, like, not only play weaker cards, but also spend turns on mana on them.
Yes.
Like, you're just getting them for free while still progressing your board.
Which is why I'm, like, giving this a bonus. But my point is like, Orzhov is not going to be like, yeah, let's get in there. Or, yeah. like if you're in Boros and you're tempoing and doing a bunch of stuff, but a lot of times you can't attack them with your 1/1 and then get cracked back for 1 billion anyway. So I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's going to be relevant in a lot of decks.
Yeah, I mean, I think Boros wants it, Azorius wants it. I don't know if Selesnya necessarily wants it, but it's going to have a lot of enchantment triggers, so
yeah, maybe
it just lets one thing continually get in.
Yeah. And this stays back and blocks reasonably well, so that may mitigate a lot of that anyway. But I think this is a playable card. I think it's like a 3.
Yeah, I like it at 3.
All right. Savior of the Sleeping, 3 mana for a 2/3 with Vigilance. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This is great.
Yep, every time you replace a roll, bargain something away, or enchantment away,
or they just kill your roll.
They kill your roll, or they kill your creature with a aura on it.
Yep. I think this is just a 3.
Yep.
All right. Slumbering Keep Guard. 1 mana, 1/1, enchant. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. You can pay 3. It gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each enchantment you control. It doesn't say you can only do that one time, which is nice.
Yep, that's what I was just thinking. Like, it's a 1-drop that might actually be useful in the late game.
Yeah, so you could just pump for 6, pump it like, +3/+3 twice. And it just becomes a 7/7, which seems really good.
Yeah.
It's really good synergy. And also there's no pay to scry, so that's just a static thing that you're going to get as you build your board. I like this card. I think this is like a 2.
Yeah, I've got it as a 2.
All right, Smothering Tithe. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If the player doesn't, you make a treasure token. I need more Smothering Tides for EDH, so I hope I open 2 or 3 of these, but it's not something I'm really wanting to play in Limited.
Me neither, and I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what that art has to do with Smothering Tithe.
Well, you see, anime boobs have really big boobs. That's all I got.
Like, at least the other, Enchanted Tales art have mostly made sense, but yeah, this one's got nothing.
And you see the cake, she pushes that in your face. And there's the big
smothering
boobs.
You with it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure she's smothering you with one of the things. There's like some pastries on I don't know. All right, people are into weird things. Don't shame. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1. Smothering Tithe, not a thing. It's a thing I hope I open in my limited pool, but do not intend to play.
Agreed.
Solitaire Sanctuary. We have a 3 mana enchantment. There's a lot of those. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. That's a good payoff for the Orzhov deck, or the Azorius deck.
Yeah, I mean, even on its own, right? 3 mana, lock something down and get a counter. Mm-hmm. It's a decent start, even if you don't have any other payoffs. Yeah, or I was going to say, or any other payoffs. Every lockdown spell just keeps growing things. So,
but if you play Sven, then you get to lock something down all the time.
Yep, we had the 3 mana tapper earlier.
The 2 mana tapper as well?
Yep.
All right, I'm into this card. Even if you play it with like minimal synergy in the deck, I think it's playable. And if you have good synergy, I think it's going to play up to like a 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, Spellbook Vendor. 2 mana for a human peasant, 2/2 with Vigilance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 1. When you do, create a Sorcerer Roll token attached to target creature you control. What? You just get to do it every turn? It's a rare, I guess. What? You just get to do it. You don't have to attack with it. You don't have to do anything. Nope. You just get a Sorcerer Roll every turn, and you could sack them and bargain them away and do whatever you want. They can ETB into the graveyard to trigger your common 2/3 that gets a +1/+1 counter after you just keep Sorcerer rolling your same dude over and over again. This is fantastic.
Yep, just pay 1.
Just pay 1. I'm in.
It's a whole new meaning to did you pay the 1?
This is, what is the rating on this thing? This seems to be very good.
I want to say 4. But it is very easy to just kill for nothing.
And you might not have those synergies to benefit from the sorcerer roll. You only have one creature, so you get the sorcerer roll out. So I'm gonna 3/5 it.
Yeah, I think 3/5 makes more sense. My instinct was 4, but it's probably lower.
Stockpiling Celebrant, 3 mana for a 3/2. When stockpiling Celebrant enters the battlefield, you may return another target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you do, scry 2. So this helps get your creatures out of like lockdowns, curses. Also, you might just want to scry. You might want to re-trigger ETBs. This seems fine, and you don't have to do it. It says you may, so you could just curve out with a 3 mana 3/2, which is vanilla and playable anyway. So this is like a 2/5.
Yeah, I like it at 2/5, and I like the fact that they're stealing food from a feast.
Yeah. Well, they weren't invited, so they have to take it with them.
Is that supposed to be? I want to look at the art. The Little Red Riding Hood, because it's got the red hood on the back.
Well, I don't think so, because that was the Gruul colors.
Yeah, she wouldn't be invited to a white party.
I guess that's true.
No, I don't think that art's the same. Never mind.
Stroke of Midnight, 3 mana for an instant. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 1/1 white human creature token. It doesn't fly or anything. That's fine. At instant speed?
Yeah. 3 mana, blow anything up.
I'm disappointed. It should be like a mouse or something, but I guess
Oh,
the
for
mice
the
are all
token?
bigger.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think this is good. I'm not scared of a 1/1 human. I think this is like a 4.
Yeah, I think so too. It's got a downside, but a very, very small one.
Yeah, and if it said creature, I might care a little bit more about that downside, but you could just like straight up kill anything. Planeswalkers and enchantments, does not matter. Love it. Yep. Tale for the Ages, 2 mana for enchanted creatures you control get +2/+2. This is gonna be a split rating. Some decks are gonna be all about this and want to run 3 of them, and then some decks do not. Most decks do not give a shit. So it's like a 1 and a 3.
Yeah, maybe even a 1 and a 3/5. Like, this feels like it's either not in your deck or it's the best card in your deck.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on board with that. 3 Blind Mice. I like that the little mice are on the actual picture. Chapter 1, create a 1/1 white mouse creature token. Chapter 2 and 3, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. So you can create bigger things if you have them, which is cute, or treasures or food. But at the very least, you get 3 blind mice. And then chapter 4, creatures you control get +1/+1 and vigilance till end of turn. So you can wall up for 6 if you want. This feels pretty underwhelming for a rare, unless you have like token, synergy, sacrifice, bargain, things you want to be doing. But I don't know. For a rare, pay 3 for 3 1/1s. It's okay.
Yeah, I think you definitely need other types of tokens for this to be worth it. I mean, you can copy I guess you can copy rolls, because those are tokens. If you wanted to ramp, you could copy treasures, but you're not really in the colors for that.
Yeah. And there are night tokens and stuff that are 2/2 with vigilance. That would be pretty good.
Yeah. So if you have enough other token synergy that you want to copy, then sure, but you're right, it does feel underwhelming.
It's a fine rate. It's just not a rare. I would say the average deck, this is going to be a playable card. I'm going to give it like a 2/5. But if you have good synergy and this does a thing, then I'll say it'll play like a 3/5.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
All right. I will let you take the next 2. I think I'm dying already.
2 Unveiled Guide, 3 and a white for a 2/3 Fairy Scout with flying. And also a Celebration, which gives it +1/+0 and lifelink as long as 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn.
It seems very good.
Yeah, 4 mana 2/3 flyers, fine.
A little underwhelming lately.
Yeah. But it's not going to be that hard for this to be attacking as a 3/3 flying lifelinker.
Yeah. And if it was just +1/+0, I would be like, oh, okay, that's still okay. But the fact that it has lifelink and it's a flyer really helps pace those like races out.
Yeah, it just helps. It just wins races. This sort of effect.
So,
especially if you're adding to the board in the process to get Celebration to trigger.
And even if you don't have Celebration triggering things, you'll just be able to trigger it some percentage of the time anyway, once or twice.
Yep.
And gaining 6 life is just enough to win those races in the air.
Yep.
So rating-wise, I think that this is solid. I would say this is like a 2/5.
Yeah, 2/5 works for me.
All right. Unassuming Sage, we've got to get through this. 2 mana, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, create a sorcerer role token attached to it. I like that. It scales a little bit. It's a 2-drop when you need it to be, and it's a 4-drop when you want it to be. I think that's fine. This is a playable card.
Yeah, it's a nice little modal card. 2 mana, 2/2, 4 mana, 3/3 with an ability, and you get Celebration trigger, multiple permanents. I like it.
Bargain, yeah, all sorts of things. So I think this is, I think a good. I like scaling cards. I'm pretty high on them usually, so I'm gonna say it's like a 2/5.
Yeah, I like it there.
All right, Virtue of Loyalty, an adventure enchantment. Create a knight for 2 with vigilance, and then for 5 at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Untap those creatures. This is busted, and this is just a 5.
Yeah, what was the card from Streets of New Capenna that did this? That did the enchantment half of this. It was just busted. It was like Broker's Ascendancy.
Oh, yeah. Broker's Ascendancy.
Yeah, and that was 3 colors. Well, granted, a 3-color set, and didn't have the.
It didn't make a creature, and it didn't untap them. It just gave +1 counters.
True. So yeah, this is just a 5.
Yeah, this thing is disgusting. Werefox Bodyguard, 3 mana for a 2/2 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to one other target non-fox creature until Werefox the Bodyguard leaves the battlefield. You can pay 2, sacrifice Werefox, you gain 2 life. So you can use this, which is kind of cute. You could use it to hit their creature that has like a combat trick on it. You could just use it as like a sort of brutal Cathar on their creature. Another cute thing you can do is just use it on your own creature in response to removal. And then eventually the Werefox will die and you just get it back.
Yeah, and if you really need to get it back, you can just sacrifice it.
Yeah, you could just use this as like a protection spell, essentially. Or if it's like a mediocre creature, like a 3/3 for 3 or whatever, and you're just like, yeah, I want to get this. I don't have anything else to play anyway, so I'm just going to play this. Eventually, this will trade or get removed or something, and then you just get your thing back.
Yeah, it protects one of your things from removal. Eventually you get it back. With all the rolls in this set, I got temporary exile. Getting rid of some rolls on the opponent's creatures is nice too.
Yeah. That said, I mean, it's a rare, so I think it's solid. The fact that it has flash could be just very flexible anyway. So I'm very happy with this card. I think this is...
I've got it at like a 3.
I'm higher. I'm like a 3/5.
Yeah, I could see 3/5, especially in decks with ETBs.
And that is it, guys. That is the end of our white. We're going to end this video because it was quite long. Thank you so much for watching. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you think of white, and let me know, are you excited about Eldraine? Yanks and I think I'm more excited, but Yanks seems optimistic, right?
White looks good, yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next video for blue. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.